You win this battle, man, I'll soon be dead. I'll glue your face to my dick so I can fuck with your head. I got metaphors coming through my pores. You probably never been in a battle before, so I hope you realize your mistake. There ain't no party, got some candles, this will be a piece of cake.
Folks, welcome to the Before Hours podcast, internet radio phenomenon hosted by an occasional morning person. I ask the most interesting people I know about their sleep, a routine, life, love, stress, and setbacks. If you want to leave us a comment, if you want to leave a compliment, a criticism, or a death threat, please feel free to do so in the comments below. And welcome our returning guest, a man pond connoisseur.
I remember talking about that. That was great.
And famously a night shower.
Yeah, love the evening shower.
Welcome back to the podcast, Brandon Puff. How you doing, Brandon?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty good. How about you, Bobby?
You made the trek all the way from New Jersey.
Yeah, from the ancient land of New Jersey. Journal Square, to be specific.
Dude, I honestly, Journal Square, it's the main station in Jersey City, main path station in Jersey City.
Yeah, it's like the last one there.
Jersey City's fun because there is stuff to do, but it also doesn't cost $1,000.
Yeah, it's very affordable in there.
Ooh,
Oh,
some
yeah,
mic
it's very,
control
very
from our
affordable.
producer.
Thank
Guys, everybody find out where Maxim lives and go to his house and say you appreciate him recording us.
I do appreciate him
Yeah.
recording us.
The way Maxim just laughed was like, I hope your listeners understand irony.
Yeah.
No one's going to come to your house, Maxim.
Who do you think your listeners are? Like, if you had to put them into a box, what would you say?
Ooh, well, I was very surprised to find out that it is only 88% male.
Okay.
I assumed it was
That's pretty
much
good.
higher.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so
not
that's
bad.
cool.
So you got some women listening.
We got some ladies. It is, I think, the highest age demographic. Like the most listeners are, I want to say, 25 to 35.
How would you feel if, like, based just on demographics, you found out it was like 80-year-old black guys that listen to you exclusively? Does YouTube or where you upload provide racial insights?
They don't
or just
give
age?
racial insights.
Okay.
They do give, for some reason, a lot of people in Indonesia listen.
Really?
It's
Genuinely?
I believe Indonesia is. It's not the most listened of people that don't speak English in that country, but there's like Germany and Israel and Switzerland where like they all speak English.
Yeah.
So like Indonesia is the one where I'm like, I think a lot of people don't speak English there. And maybe I'll get corrected for all the Indonesians living.
You could get some Indonesian death threats.
Maybe, dude.
Which are really that's the best kind to get.
Yeah, I don't know if black men listen to my podcast in those numbers. I will say that old black ladies, and I don't understand this phenomenon. Maybe you could give me some insight.
I'll try.
They will always compliment their words, not mine, beautiful red hair. It happened to me the other day. I was in a KFC and there was an old black lady, really old. Like, you know how you could hear in someone's voice that they're old?
Yeah, they got like a nice gentleness to it.
I couldn't see her, but I knew three things: that she was very old, that she was black, and that she was from the South.
Ooh,
and I was like,
nice
those
combo.
three things together mean she's going to call me honey and she's going to say, I love your beautiful red hair.
Yeah.
And both of those things happen.
It's like an ethnic bowl of chicken soup kind of. It's like the perfect comforting elderly black woman from the South. It's really sweet. It's really, and then she complimented your hair.
She complimented my hair and I complimented her on being a delicious bowl of soup. I think I could actually get away with that if I was like, because she's so old that she's no longer seen as a sexual object by people.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was at the time like a really hot and heavy compliment to make. Towards her. Like you're a bowl of chicken
I've been
soup.
reading this book and it takes place in, it's a nonfiction book. It's called The Devil in the White City. Okay. And it's a really great book. It's about the Chicago World Fair. It was like the biggest world fair that had taken place in definitely the country and I think the world. So all of these people came to Chicago and there was a lunatic serial killer that owned a hotel.
Oh, H.H. Holmes?
Yes, H.H. Holmes, which was not his real name.
Oh.
Yeah, my man was like absolute textbook psychopath. And it's crazy how much you could get away with stuff back then.
Well, especially him. Wasn't he like really wealthy from his construction business and things of that nature?
He was wealthy in a way that, like, obviously there's a lot of people that have money for nefarious reasons, right?
Yeah.
He basically was like well-spoken and handsome.
Mhm.
And then he would buy things on credit and the creditors would come and be like, hey, where's my money? And he would like charm them. And like 10 minutes later, they were leaving, being like, I have a new best friend now, and not caring that they weren't paid.
That's nice. I wish you could do that nowadays. No, you can't. They could call you and just harass you that way.
He was so charismatic that 2 of his girlfriends died. And I mean, the police in Chicago back then, non-functional. Right?
Yeah.
They're you know, you think it's bad now with the unions?
Nowadays, they're much better.
Dude,
they're much better nowadays.
I mean, there's a modicum of responsibility. You know what I mean? Back then, none at all.
But how do we know he murdered his girlfriends? That's what I want to know, because that happened such a long time ago.
He did admit it.
Okay, but was it a forced admission? Because like you said, the police work back in the day wasn't that great. Did they like?
I really like that you're becoming an H.H. Holmes truther. I really like that.
Yeah, well, I just think there's more evidence out there that we haven't looked at. I'm not sure what the evidence is, but I'm sure it's out there if we look hard.
Dude, I know you're doing one of your little skits right now, Brendan, but I unironically found myself in a conversation with 2 2020 election truthers. And I was like, I don't want this to happen. How did this happen?
Yeah.
'Cause I was at a comedy club and we were talking about the election. As of the recording, this is my first recording where I know who the new president is.
Yeah.
Right?
Nice.
Yikes. And comedy is going to be annoying again.
Probably. Yeah. it probably will.
I know that's like number 10 in the list of like things I should be sad about that guy's president.
Maybe
again,
for
but
normal people, but not us comedians.
Yikes.
We're specials.
There is something that happens in the blue states when Trump is president where comedy is harder to do.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing is that now if you tell an edgy joke, everyone's like, that guy means it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't mean it. I'm being a silly
I'm just
goose.
being a goofy little goof.
But if you don't consume comedy often, I get how you would get confused by that.
Yeah, and everybody's on edge and everything. You know, we could
Everybody's
probably have like a
edging.
good couple 2 months before that happens, right? Before he's sworn in. So we have some leeway, maybe.
Yeah, I did the same thing that I did in 2016, which was when he won. I was like, I'm not going to do comedy for an entire week.
Yeah.
I didn't go quite that extreme because we're recording the Saturday after he won. And last night I did my first set since he won the election.
Did you immediately notice a change?
It was a bad show.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was having like a bad time. And I tried to like, you and I are silly boys, right?
Oh, very silly.
So I just straight up tried to be a silly goose and people were not. There was one girl in the front that was like, I'm so happy that someone's being a silly goose. Yeah. And everybody else was like,
they weren't vibing with it?
They weren't vibing at all. Right? But it is what it is.
Why do you think that is? What do you feel like people just they feel more serious now?
I don't know, and I can't blame it. I can't blame it all on Trump, honestly, because I didn't watch the show beforehand, and sometimes people don't know how to do comedy shows.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and I'm more and more I'm convinced that if the host isn't good, the show might be very bad.
Yeah, well, you got to bring the right energy too. You know, you can't just be like, and the next person is gonna be.
Dude,
Bobby Sheehan.
I saw someone end a show. I didn't watch their full hosting set, but I watched them close the show with being like, all right, guys, keep it going for so-and-so. And yeah, I guess that's it. That's the end of the show.
Nice. Okay.
Goodbye.
And then just walk off.
And then people were like, dude, there's nothing more infuriating. Whatever your line of work is, when you have a coworker and they stink.
Yeah.
And they're the fucking weak link.
They bring everybody down.
I hate it, dude.
Well, in shows too, it's really weird when the person who's running the show, even if it's going badly, when they start like admitting that it's going badly or pointing it out, that's very bizarre.
You can't do that.
No, I've seen it happen so many times though, where like just for whatever reason, some of the comedians aren't doing well and they're like, well, I guess we have another comic coming up, but let's keep it going for this thing, huh? And it's
terrible.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Because they don't, if someone's hosting a comedy show and they do that, where they're like, oh, this show's bad, it's because they're a little bit afraid of looking like a rube. But here's the thing. You're like, you have to not be afraid to look like a rube.
Yeah, you just
like
gotta be
that's
a cool
your
guy.
You have to. I liken it to, I learned this from my dad. When a child, like a toddler, falls, you ever see a child toddler fall because you push them. No, they just fall, right? And there's a literal second between when they fall and before they cry. They're deciding if they should cry.
If they have permission to cry.
They want to know, is this serious enough? Because they'll fall more times than not. They're not hurt or they're not seriously hurt. And my dad is very good with kids. A toddler falls, he picks him up, he goes, "Oh, you're okay, you're okay."
And then the mother says, "Let go of my child, please, sir. What are you doing? Let go, my sweet Penelope."
Yeah.
And then that's awkward for the whole family, and it's a whole thing. And you got to talk to your dad about it again for the 5th time that week. You got to stop picking up random children. But I'm sure he's great with kids. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he's a great dad.
I think a similar thing happens when you're hosting a comedy show. If someone bombs, like they totally shit the bed, maybe they're even turning on the audience.
Yeah.
They leave. You have to get up there and literally make everyone clap their hands and smile and make them have a nice time and then bring up the next comedian.
Yeah, you got to set the expectation.
Yeah. And you have, at some point during the show, you have to mention that your dad hasn't been formally charged with anything.
Well, it's really hard when you mainly do it in the Philippines because, we don't extradite to them no matter what. No matter what. We would never. We would never.
Dude, I know so little about the Philippines other than I went to Jollibee once. You ever been to Jollibee?
I wasn't a big fan. I tried the spaghetti thing. It's really bad spaghetti.
Yeah.
It's not good in any sense. Did you try the spaghetti?
No. I think I had like chicken nuggets.
Well, that might be the problem then. I feel like that's pretty hard to mess up.
Yeah.
Chicken nuggets. Spaghetti, though, I don't think that's a fast food item.
Dude, when I first moved to New York and I was a starving artist, right?
Yeah.
Not like now where I'm loaded, but I needed my new thing is because I also was like getting back into working out. So I was like, I need protein, right?
Yeah.
So when I was out and about, right, it's hard to find, especially in New York, there's so many like food deserts, right?
Yeah.
I would get a 20 chicken nuggets and that would just sustain me for the evening. Just eat 20
From
nuggets.
D's?
At McDonald's, yeah.
No sauce? Were you
I'm
on
not a
keto?
sauce guy.
Were you on a keto cut?
No.
No sweet and sour?
I never really fucked with any extreme diet like that. I remember one time I decided that I was gonna get most of my protein in the morning. So I decided every day I was gonna eat like an entire package of bacon. And then my asshole was like, dude, we can't do this.
Yeah. It was forcing its way out.
Dude, I mean, I had my bodybuilder friend Rob on the other day, and he was like, he doesn't eat like this all the time, but when you do contest prep, right before he was about to get on stage as a bodybuilder, he was like, dude, I was straight up like just chicken. What was he? Chicken, rice, chocolate. And the chocolate is just to like keep yourself from committing suicide. Yeah. Right? Like I'm sorry, unaliving YouTube.
Unaliving with a knife in your neck and a gun in your mouth. You're unaliving yourself.
Dude, maybe not Gen Z, but the generation after them, I think, is legitimately not going to know the phrase commit suicide. They're going to think unaliving or self-deleting.
They might. Self-deleting would be cool.
Self-deleting's funny.
That sounds like a cyberpunk term.
Yeah.
It'd be like schizo tech boys unaliving, deleting ourselves.
Yeah. No, don't self-delete. You're so sexy.
Don't do it. Don't delete yourself. You're beautiful. The scars on your arms, those are proofs that you're an angel in your past life. It's proof. Don't do it.
The scars on the arm is no disrespect to anybody listening, but it is like, oh boy, this might be a bit difficult.
I just assumed they were attacked by a wolverine in a very specific spot. I don't bring it up. That's the assumption I make, and I feel better about it overall.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Attacked by Wolverine.
Yeah,
dude, I watched this movie with Hugh Jackman the other day. He's such a sexy man.
Yeah, you ever watch? He has this little cut.
Oh, he's got the cum gutters, dude.
The cum gutters is a popular term, but I mean, you can really put anything on there: jelly, butter. It doesn't have to be cum exclusively. I don't know why they limit it. Probably look good with just about anything, really. But people immediately jump to cum like there's not other options.
Right.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But which movie were you watching?
It was
don't even remember. You just remember
what's the name?
Body.
The premise of the movie is that the guy that invented the elevator, Leopold.
World's Greatest Showman?
No. I think it's Kate and Leopold or Leopold and Kate. It's a rom-com I watched with my girlfriend after Trump won because we had to do something besides think about the election.
Yeah. So that was your choice of consumption.
And because it's a silly movie where everything works out at the end.
Was this young Hugh Jackman? Like
yes.
boyish Hugh Jackman?
He looked like a man. He looked like a man.
He looked like a man? Mad TV?
Yeah, dude. Anybody younger than 30 is not going to understand what we just did.
What is that? You look like a man.
Yeah.
Look what I can do.
Yeah. For those unfamiliar, Mad TV had a character. What was her name?
Miss Kwan.
Miss Kwan.
Yeah.
And Miss Kwan, the character is, guys, you ready? She was Asian.
And
that's it.
Well, I think there's a couple layers deeper there. She was inflicted with Asianness after she was bitten by Bobby Lee, who was also a cast member on Mad TV. That's the thing that it's one of those behind the scenes, is that in order to do the character, she had to be bitten by him about 30 minutes before going on stage.
So you know so much inside info.
I know these things. I've done a lot of research.
Yeah.
Lots of research. If I just say it enough times, it eventually becomes funny. It's nice. It's really nice.
Oh, man. Have you talked to Tickles lately, by the way?
Tickles the Clown? Yeah. No, I mean, he's kind of in recovery. I mean,
oh, geez.
The countless memories he has of that god-awful war in Vietnam
for those
scarred him.
For those unfamiliar, so we have a mutual friend, Puff and I.
Yeah, we love him.
He's a comedian, but he's also a clown. His name's Tickles the Clown.
Tickles the Clown.
I don't know if it's his birth name. I think it might be.
I think it's his birth name. I mean, obviously, it's shortened a little bit. You know, he's not from the States, but yeah, that's his birth name.
Okay, and he looks suspiciously like you.
He does look a lot like me. A couple of big differences. He has a clown nose, so I mean, right off the bat, you know it's not me.
It can't be you.
Nose. No, I mean,
what are you
my nose
put on a clown
like
nose? That's not.
I have a Pollock nose, not a clown nose. You know, it's very different. It's very subtle, different, but also very different. But no, he's been struggling because of the several tours he did in Vietnam. He doesn't look like he's old enough to be in Vietnam, but it was this whole thing where he lied about his age and he went there when he was like 10, and it was just really tough for him. It was really tough.
And you said he's not from the States?
He's not from the States originally. No, he's from Canada.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a Canadian clown.
Ooh, I have a $10 Canadian bill in my pocket right now.
He's going to need it because he's suffering. He's suffering big time right now. I mean, he's only eating red jelly beans. He can't even afford the blue or the green or the yellow. Straight up red. And it's not cherry. It's the cinnamon ones.
Oh, yikes.
Those are the dog shit jelly beans.
You know who loved jelly beans? Ronald Reagan.
Did he?
Yeah. He used to eat jelly beans all the time.
How do you feel about minorities? That's what I'd like to know. So did he love them more or less than jelly beans? Or equally?
There's this story that I heard Louis C.K. talk about on the radio. This is like years ago, where he was like, there's an old video of Ronald Reagan, and for some reason he's at some event where he's talking about Mark Twain.
Yeah.
Right. And Mark Twain, of course, there's a character in Mark Twain books called, and I'm not going to say the full name. It's
Tom Sawyer.
It's not Tom. There's a black man named Jim. But he has a moniker that I'm not going to repeat because it's not nice.
Mr. Friendly Jim Man? Is that I've never read it, but I assume it was something really nice. Something really nice and respectful.
But you had, okay, so for those that haven't read the book, it's N-word Jim, right? Because that's how people talked in the 18th century or the 19th century.
It's not how I talked. I never talked like that in the 18th century. Speak for yourself.
There is a smugness that I think like today people have where they're like, I can't believe how racist people were back then. It's like as if you were alive at that time, you'd be like, excuse me, no. I'm going to be the one person in my village.
Yeah, you're going to go against Mark Twain. Yeah. Okay. Genius of our era, Mark Twain.
That's the funny thing about Mark Twain is like he's writing a sympathetic black character, right? Like he's like not as racist as everybody else in his time, but he still had to, give him.
Well, yeah, he's still got to show that he's cool. He's got to. People are going to read his book if he's named just, Jim.
Right.
You want something that grips the.
There's
people.
So back to Ronald Reagan. He's talking. He's like, and who can forget? Who can forget the various adventures of that lovable character, Jim. There's just people behind him being like, don't do it.
Don't say the whole
Don't
thing.
say it.
Don't you remember those lovable adventures where he's being chased by a lynch mob through the jungles of Mississippi? Or how about that wonderful moment when he woke up in the middle of the night to find that they were burning a cross on his front porch? Isn't that such a fun, wacky adventure?
I think my favorite part about this Ronald Reagan character is that he's from the 1920s.
Don't you remember when Jim, our old fellow?
I just don't understand why people talk like this. Why was this enjoyable to listen to on the radio or television?
It just sounds comforting, I think.
I think if you because I did this recently, I was curious what all the voices of the presidents sounded like. The first one that we have access to is Grover Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right. So I listened to like Cleveland to I think FDR because FDR talked like this too. Truman, I believe, is like the first guy that was like, "What's up, everybody? I'm the president." You know what I mean?
Just normal.
Didn't do the. I think they all, to varying degrees, were like influenced by, everybody that talked on the radio or television went to like broadcasting school.
Yeah,
they literally teach
like
you how to
Atlantic.
enunciate. Crazy.
Well, it probably also helps if you're president. You want to make sure you have a distinctive voice. Like Obama's got a very distinctive, sensual voice.
Oh, a sensual voice, huh?
Yeah, very sensual.
Have you been listening to Obama?
I've been listening to his audiobook and jerking off daily. That's how I fight. That's how I resist America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell
doing
yeah,
my
dude.
part. Yeah, bro. Come on.
Yeah, you're part of the resistance.
I'm part of the resistance. The
I love
grip
that.
resistance.
The grip resistance.
We're working on it. But that's the tentative name for now. Who do you think was the weirdest sounding president?
Oh,
Like outside of recordings, like if you go back beyond Grover Cleveland.
interesting.
Because they said Lincoln sounded like this.
Yeah.
Right? He was more of a gentle tone.
Which I think is kind of crazy, especially for like the I think there was a bit of, I mean, we all know about like the historical revisionism in the South, right? Where it was like, oh, Lee was the best general ever, and it was actually about states' rights, not slavery, like that whole thing, in the post-antebellum South, which is weird because like even people from the North in like the early 20th century were like, I think because they just wanted to feel intellectual, and I guess contrarian. They were like, yeah, that's actually true. Like the lost cause myth or whatever. But there was like a similar type of revisionism with Lincoln. Because if you ever watch, like, aside from Daniel Day-Lewis, because I know Daniel Day-Lewis like nailed it in that movie in 2012, but there was a bit long stretch of time where Abraham Lincoln was very stoic.
Every impersonator did that. Every time you would go to like a Springfield museum or something, you would see I'm Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's like very, strong, forceful. What do you think that came from? Was that just the idea people had of Lincoln?
Yeah, I think reality is always like more complicated. I have read multiple accounts of people seeing Lincoln speak for the first time, and they all said the same thing, which was like, he looks weird and he sounds weird, and it took everyone a couple minutes to be like, oh, but he's spitting bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's like not as fun as being like, no, this guy was a Chad the whole time.
Yeah. So how would you compare him if you had to a modern day rapper? Who is Lincoln as a modern day rapper? Because I know you can make this connection. You got some knowledge.
Well, if we're just going by weird voices, 3 rappers come to mind.
Okay.
Danny Brown. Kendrick Lamar sometimes.
Okay, and then gay Tupac. Flamboyantly gay Tupac. Maybe not. Okay, jumped ahead.
I was gonna say relapse era Eminem, where he's doing the accents.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
but where he's doing
that.
this weird Scottish Jamaican thing. I don't know. Flamboyant Tupac.
Flamboyantly gay Tupac.
Okay.
It's a well-known character that he did in the 90s.
Oh, okay. So, do you remember any of like his song lyrics or anything like that?
No, I think
Flamboyant
mostly
Tupac?
it was just when he would go to Guantanamo Bay and just suck guys off and then record that.
Oh, interesting. Because I know some people believe that Tupac is in Cuba right now.
Cuba? I don't know about Cuba.
Okay.
I know Guantanamo Bay though. I know.
So he was
sure.
He was in Gitmo, and he was
Gitmo. And he was getting Mo. He was getting Mo and Gitmo. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute what I did?
I don't know if cute is.
I really want people to picture Tupac, blowing a guy. I don't know why.
By the way, if there are senior citizen black men listening, like you hope there are, they're furious right now. You made them very furious
because he was against homo thugs, right?
That was DMX.
He's
got DMX has quote no love for homo thugs.
I don't know though. I feel like DMX is probably a little bit gay.
Oh,
like if you have to come out and say that, you're probably a little bit gay, and you feel a little insecure about that. Right.
Also, some people think that it was just a Ja Rule sneak diss. Because there was rumors that Ja Rule was gay because he had a gay friend. Everyone's like, dude, that's gay as hell. You're gay.
Wow, you couldn't even have a gay friend?
I think if memory serves, it was like his makeup artist or like hairstylist too. So I'm like, really? That guy can't be gay?
That guy
You're going to find
gay?
a straight man to style your hair?
Yeah, he's going to give you a buzz cut every time? I mean, that's not fun.
Dude, I was a buzz cut daddy for years.
Were you?
I really thought, because I didn't understand, first of all, how important hair was. Despite all the compliments from the old black ladies, I didn't think women cared about hair as much as I think that they do. Right?
Yeah.
So for a while, I was just like, well, it's easier to have a buzz cut.
So much easier.
And also,
you can do it yourself too.
Yeah. And then one day I bought like this hair glue, and then I just did this in the morning, and then I took care of my cowlick too. And then I was like, oh,
now you look.
This is a hairstyle. Yeah.
Now you're looking like a Chad.
Ooh, you think so?
You're chatting a little bit.
I'm like, if ChatGPT's first try at Chad.
Yeah. Turn Mark Zuckerberg into a Chad. Yeah. That's kind of what I see.
And then you look at it and you're like, oh, we're still generations away from where we want AI to be.
Yeah. And then I'm a Danish troglodyte, I think. That's the vibe I'm given.
Okay.
Just a little bit of incest, not too much, a reasonable amount. Amount, with the sort of the bangs going on.
That is the thing, I think, because there's no, as far back as like, because my family has done like the family tree and stuff.
Yes.
And it's all Ireland. I'm like, is there anything else? They're like, nope, as far as we could tell.
But does that necessarily mean you have incest in your blood?
I think so. I think if you're 100% one thing, there's some cousin on cousin action going on. I think.
Yeah, but is that really incest, or is that just what the mainstream media wants you to think?
Folks, we're just asking questions. Oh man, that bit about me just asking questions isn't as fun in light of recent events.
Sometimes you just gotta ask questions. That's all.
I didn't watch Rogan interview Trump, but I did listen to Rogan talk about what it was like to interview Trump.
Yeah.
And what I found most hilarious was whoever he was talking to was like, did you ask Trump about why he's pro-vaccine? I'm like, oh, that's what we have to. Yeah, that's what we have to hold his feet to the fire.
Is like, how dare you
crazy
initiate vaccines on America, Mr. Trump?
It's and he courted because he was like, I got my vaccine, and people, this is like years ago. Some people are like, oh, his base might, because there were people mad that he didn't pardon the January 6th people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So some people were like, did he lose his base? And part of that narrative was when he wasn't president in the interim, he was like, and I got my vaccine, and there's a sizable portion of the crowd that starts booing him for saying that he got the vaccine.
That's weird.
But he handled it masterfully, as he always does. He was like, I know, you have your freedoms.
I'm gay. I know. I'm gay for getting the vaccine. I know. It's okay. Don't worry. But that's weird, because I was under the impression that January 6th, the reason they were going to the Capitol was to get the vaccine stockpiles for themselves.
Ooh.
That's what based on my research.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is your research various set of hunches?
No. I was reading some tweets. I was doing a deep dive. All the vaccines, they were in Mike Pence's chest cavity. So they were trying to get to Pence.
Oh.
Everybody thinks they were going to hang him or something.
Right.
They weren't going to.
They were just
going
to
his break open his rib cage and get the vaccines.
Yeah. It's like that scene in Pulp Fiction with Uma Thurman, but instead of putting the needle in there, it's a knife, sure. Yeah. And is he going to pass away from being stabbed in the chest? I think so. But that's where the vaccines were.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
He would have been a hero.
You think so?
I think so. He would have been a martyr. Maybe.
Yikes, dude. What an interesting guy Mike Pence's life was, especially after January 6th. He was like he didn't play ball with like Trump trying to overturn the election, and then but him leaving the office of the vice presidency, he was like, I want to thank Donald Trump. I love him.
Yeah,
I love him so much.
Well, that's just so his family doesn't get murdered later on.
That's
think
just
so. To, get a baseline going.
Yeah.
He'll be
Yikes.
fine.
Because then later, when wasn't he running in the primary for like a second, and then everyone's like, we actually hate you.
Yeah, I think so. I think
And
he
he
dropped
was like-
out pretty quick. Everybody dropped out against Trump pretty quick.
Crazy, dude. And when he won the primary, I'm like, and he wins the presidency. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And then he released Young Thug, right? Didn't he do that, or was that someone else?
Was that I know he released Kodak Black.
Kodak Black. Did Young Thug support him?
I know Wheezy supported Kodak Black. Well, Wheezy is friends with Kodak Black, and he supported Trump in 2020.
Yeah.
And so some people think that there was like a deal there. Rappers low key love Trump because like he's, a cartoon rich person.
Yeah.
So
Which rapper do you think could have made the biggest difference if they had endorsed Kamala?
ooh.
Living or dead?
Okay. Well, I think if a rapper came back from the dead and endorsed anybody, that person's going to win.
What if they were a real piece of shit, though? Like, there's some known piece of shit rappers, right? Like ones that were really bad people.
I think a lot of them were, unfortunately.
Like, what if P. Diddy came out and supported her?
Yikes, dude.
But he admitted to everything, and
Okay.
he repented, and he had like a come to Lord moment sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, you know what? From this new point of reflection,
Okay.
I realize now that Kamala is the best person for president.
It would be such a weird point in which to like listen to what he had to say. But there are people that would go to a Bill Cosby show and think that he didn't do any of the things that he's accused of doing because he was merely trying to buy CBS.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of conspiracy thinking that it's funny to me because I actually growing up, Bill Cosby was one of my favorite comedians. Bill Cosby himself is his magnum opus, and I think one of the best comedy albums of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm still able to go, and it turns out that he's probably the most prolific rapist of all time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Fair to
Genghis
say.
Khan, Bill Cosby,
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein, P.
Yeah.
Diddy,
Dwight Howard.
Dwight Howard. Who is that?
I don't know. I said a name that was in my lexicon.
Do you know there's a man named Dwight Howard listening to this right now, and his heart just stopped?
Well, only if he actually was one. In which case, we're on to you, Dwight.
We're on to you, Dwight.
We know what you're doing. I think he's a basketball player, maybe.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I'm
Dwight
not sure.
Howard does sound
a little bit grapey.
Yeah.
Just a bit. Just a smidge.
The grapist. Are you a Whitest Kids?
Oh, I love Whitest Kids.
Come here, kids.
I'm gonna tie you to the radiator and grape your mom and your dad and your whole family.
Dude, I've been rewatching The Whitest Kids You Know. The opening scene of the pilot episode is Trevor Moore doing his Hitler rap.
Oh, yeah.
And if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, go to YouTube, type in Hitler rap, Whitest Kids You Know. It's
a
just
bold way to start.
It's what if Hitler came back and it's 2005 or whatever, and he's alive and he's not a Nazi anymore.
He's reformed.
He's reformed, as he says in the song. I bet y'all didn't know is that I'm down with the Jews, the gypsies, homosexuals, and retards too. Because I stopped burning people, started burning CDs, stopped battling the world, started battling MCs. I'm back on the mind and I'm on the groove, and now the S is on my jacket stands for super smooth. That song was in the first sketch of the pilot episode. That's how different life was back in like the early aughts, is you could just do that.
Yeah. And nobody really cared. People enjoyed it for the most part.
Yeah.
You know?
Now television is like Jimmy Fallon being like, we have to defend democracy. And listen,
the chocolate chunk chocolate cookie. That's culture now, is that guy. Chocolate chunk. I beat my child when no one's watching cookie. Yeah, I don't think he does that. He's probably a great dad to some extent, but he probably also beats him once or twice. But only so he does the videos.
Do you think we should reference Man Pond? I realized that I introduced you with that.
Yeah, Man Pond.
Because people might have not listened to the first episode where we really did a deep dive on what Man Ponds were.
Yeah, I mean, basically the lore of the Man Pond is I used to, at one point in my life, I worked as a janitor at a truck stop.
Okay.
And a lot of truckers go through a truck stop. And when they throw out all the garbage from their truck, one particular item is a mainstay amongst their shared trash, which is a piece of toilet paper rolled up and slid in between the ass cheeks to kind of absorb, like a tampon, absorb the feces in their ass cracks, because it's a multi combination thing. They're severely overweight because they're always driving, and they're sitting down, so it's mushing. So I'm sure, I mean, I don't know who invented that as the solution. I don't think that's the solution. I really don't. I feel like maybe there's other things you could do. Baby wipes would be one. Anything else, really? Anything else.
I think if a constant in your life is that your ass is leaking, you should go to a doctor immediately.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys, they were more than just like, fat. Like, if you're overweight, you're overweight. Everything about them was disgusting.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of the general culture, was everybody was doing the Man Pond.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd think like maybe I find one or two in a trash can every month or so. No, you would find like guys throwing away plastic bags filled with them because they do like the cross country driving. So they're just swapping out Man Ponds. It's not like I mind my shit today and they stuff. No, it was every single time. It was bad.
It's funny to me because as a child, I thought being a truck driver was so cool.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you're driving a truck and every little boy is like, trucks are amazing.
Yeah.
We love trucks.
Great. They're so cool.
If I was a little boy and I was bored, like sitting in the back seat and I saw a tractor trailer, I'd be like, holy shit. And then I would do this shit.
Yeah. And then sometimes they would.
Sometimes they would honk their horn. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the hooker in the side seat would be like, hi.
Shout out to all the lot lizards out there.
Yeah.
Or whatever they prefer to be called. Lot sex workers?
Lot ladies, Bobby. Lot ladies.
Lot ladies.
Or lizard ladies, maybe?
Oh, LL. Is that where LL Cool J got his name from?
Yeah, I'm all with the lizard ladies.
Yeah.
I like the lizard ladies.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hillary Clinton. She's a lizard lady.
Yeah. Yikes, dude.
Yeah.
I know I've already brought up Louis, but you ever hear the audio of Louis C.K. on Opie and Anthony? And for some reason, Donald Trump agreed to be on the program.
At the same time?
Donald Trump called in Opie and Anthony to promote his book. And like Anthony does a great job of like being the straight man, right? And Donald Rumsfeld is just like, because I think he just got done. I think this is between Bush and Obama. So Donald Rumsfeld got done being Secretary of State, right?
Yeah.
And he just has a book that, I mean, I'm sure someone ghost wrote for him. And he's just giving like just boring politician answers. And then Louis is like, Mr. Rumsfeld, there are Americans that believe that you are a lizard person that eats Mexican babies. Can you confirm or deny if that's true? And then Rumsfeld gives this meandering non-answer about how he was like, it's funny you should ask that because I was at a restaurant the other day and someone paid for my meal and I didn't even know who they were. But, it's nice after years of public service that someone would do that for me. Which in that moment, I'm like, oh, this guy is so used to, like, he's had multiple conversations with Saddam Hussein. So this doesn't faze him at all.
Yeah.
But here's what's funny.
Drop in the water.
Rumsfeld never denied that he was a lizard.
Which is proof that he's a lizard. If you don't
think
deny
so.
it. Are you a lizard, Bobby?
I'm not a lizard. Was that hard to do?
It's not that hard.
Are you a lizard, Puff?
I'm not.
See?
Nor have I ever been, nor will I ever be.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So you got to predict into the future.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm willing to. I don't know what the future holds. I don't want to.
Now listen. Wait a minute. My lot lizard? I ain't going to deny that. I'm a lot lizard. I've been one for a while. Are you a lot lizard?
Just so I want to be clear that I understand this character.
Yeah.
You are a very masculine working class prostitute that services truck drivers.
Yeah, and he doesn't have any shame about it.
And that's
I got no shame about it.
That's beautiful.
You earn a living.
You got, as long as you're not hurting anybody, you got to be unapologetically who you are. If you learn nothing else from listening to this podcast, you should.
The world's oldest profession.
Yeah.
You know?
Is there anything you're ashamed of?
Well, it was that guy in Cincinnati that I did. Pretty ashamed about him.
Why were you ashamed about the guy from Cincinnati?
Well, it wasn't so much one particular thing. It was a series of things that took place over 3 months. I became a crack fiend.
Became a crack
Became a crack fiend, yeah.
Wow.
I stopped even taking money. I was just getting paid in crack cocaine.
Oh, so you were servicing these truck drivers in parking lots?
Yeah, and listen, I got no shame about doing it for money, but if it's for drugs, that just feels, because it's like, who am I?
Yeah.
What am I going through?
What have you become?
What have I become? Am I a lot lizard? Am I a lot lady? I don't know anymore. Just sucking guys off willy-nilly with no purpose, dreams or aspirations, I'm sure you've been there. Just gagging on another man's cock.
I mean, we've all gone through hardships, right?
No. Not all of us.
But you have.
No. I enjoyed it all. I just felt deep shame about it. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I just felt a lot of shame. But that's part of the enjoyment, is the shame.
Well, that's the lizard lot lady. Everybody.
That's a great character.
Yeah, I love that. You. What I love about you is you do characters. I like the world's oldest cuck.
Oh, that's a fun
good one.
Yeah. There's a 99-year-old man who wants somebody to fuck his wife before she dies.
Will someone please fuck my wife?
Please, anybody at home before she dies.
Now, are there people in the crowd? Have there ever been people in the crowd that are so old that they don't know what a cuck is?
I mean, it depends on the crowd. I've never gone up and asked them afterwards, but there's definitely people that don't vibe with that joke for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the world's youngest cuck. You don't want to see that.
Yeah, that might be illegal. Oh no! The reason I asked is I did a show the other night, and the comic before me referenced Doja Cat, and there was a middle-aged Midwesterny type looking couple.
Yeah,
and the nice lady was like, she was like, "Who is this? Can you clarify for the older people?"
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was like, "Oh, she's a pop star or whatever," and then did his joke. And then I went up there and then I explained to her that Doja Cat has a song called "Bitch I'm a Cow," and that actually didn't help
resonate.
At all. She didn't. She was
more confused.
She's more confused.
Okay.
And I was Doja Cat also. A lot of people don't know this about her.
Mm-hmm.
She was like a 4chan lurker as a teen.
Was she?
She was like one of those girls that was pretty but also weird. And so she was on 4chan. She got in trouble for it for like a second, where she would be like, doing the edgelord 4chan type memes.
Yeah.
People caught her like doing that on.
And then she had to ban her account, stop going on there.
I don't know exactly what happened, but I mean, listen, her magnum opus, "Bitch I'm a Cow," it's
pretty great.
I can't.
It's not bad.
All sins forgiven, I think.
I think so.
I'm
just happy that now she spends most of her time on Club Penguin, which is really that's the reformed place.
Okay.
For internet lurkers, I think.
Club Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Neopets? Did you ever have a Neopet?
I never had a Neopet. I never really liked the video game. I don't know if this is going to make sense. I never liked video games where they're based off of the mundaneness of life. Like to me, make sure you have enough food for your Neopet. I'm like, but that's you're doing all the boring adult stuff as an adult. Why are you? The video game should be like, oh my God, I'm in outer space.
Yeah.
Is that wrong?
Well, I mean, if you're an astronaut, I'm sure outer space is pretty mundane.
Oh, that's
after
true.
A while,
You're diped up, first of all.
You're diped up.
You're wearing a diaper.
Mm-hmm. Like that one lady who wore the diaper while she was going to her, ex-husband, ex-boyfriend?
I don't know exactly the story, but there was a love triangle situation in which a female astronaut became upset and decided to drive all the way across country to confront whoever she was confronting. And because she didn't have time to stop, she wore Depends.
Sounds pretty cool to me. Sounds like a cool lady. Sounds like a lady who's after your heart.
Oh, yeah.
Will do anything to get it.
Yeah, it's the rom-com where she waddles out of the car. There's just piss and shit falling out.
Michael, I drove all this way to see you. I had a diaper on. I shit my pants, and I need you to know that you're the one for me, baby.
Catherine, you came all the way out to San Francisco to see me?
And I've got shit in my pants, baby. So much shit.
Darling, this means Darling, you do smell like shit. You smell like... Christ's sakes, darling, you smell like feces.
You smell like a big bag of shit.
Honey, is this your split personality?
I don't know anymore. All I know is I want you. And I want you to change my diaper.
I can't change your diaper, sweetheart. I'm sorry.
It's a big bag of shit.
You know, I come from a complicated family. My father, despite the fact that he's 95 years old, is still into his cuckold fetish.
Won't somebody fuck my wife? She's been dead for 5 years, but I don't remember. So I just go around asking people if they want to fuck her.
Not to mention my older brother is some sort of circus performer.
Tickles the Clown. Hey, is that the one you're referencing?
Yeah.
Okay. I was in Vietnam. Whoa. There was so much death and blood.
I'm curious, and I know, because I think you and Tickles the Clown go to a lot of the same comedy shows.
Yeah, we hang out.
So you've seen him perform.
Mm-hmm.
What are people's response? Has he ever gotten a poor response from an audience member?
Oh, for sure, plenty of times. There, especially the worst set I've ever seen him give was right after the first Joker came out. So people were already primed to assume that clown guy on stage is a murderer.
Oh yeah.
To make matters worse, Tickles ends his act by going on this long monologue about, how he was in Vietnam and he didn't want to kill those poor boys and so many people died and nobody's laughing at that part, really. And I remember I did that and the room was silent.
I'm sorry, you did that?
Well, I saw Tickles do that in my mind's eye.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So in a way I did it, as we all do.
Mm-hmm.
But Tickles did that. The room was silent. And then I went to go, congratulate him for that amazing, beautiful art piece. And then the showrunner said, you cannot do that ever again without telling me first. He said that to him. He said, you cannot, because the showrunner had seen him do, some non-clown stuff, which Tickles sometimes does.
Right.
So he assumed, I can bring him onto the show. I know what I'm getting. And then, he does that, and the showrunner says, you cannot do that ever again. You made a lot of people uncomfortable.
Oh, I could relate to that happening to Tickles because as a comedian, as you are and as I am and as Tickles is, you take a swing sometimes, sometimes the thing about taking a big swing is sometimes to hit a home run, but sometimes it's strike three.
Oof, yeah.
And dude, I just 100% remove myself from that situation.
Mm-hmm.
When you make a room full of people, the worst is when you're doing well and you're like, I've built up such goodwill that I could try this thing.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like,
they turn on you quick.
Unforgivable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, keep it going for your host.
Hey,
and then
in a perfect world, I would have liked to have seen Tickles do his routine at the height of the Vietnam War. When it was really culturally relevant, just to see what kind of reaction that had gotten.
Yeah.
But, modern times is fine.
It's interesting how quickly time moves because in my head, when I picture a Vietnam veteran, I do picture a middle-aged man, but no, now they're elderly.
Yeah.
And in my head, when I picture a World War II veteran, I picture an old man, but they're mostly dead.
Yeah, they're like Jimmy Carter.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
They got the medals and everything.
Poor Jimmy, man. I don't think he wants to be alive anymore.
No, they wanted to keep him alive to get to 100 because that was like a big accomplishment. First 100-year-old president, former president.
Oh, okay. And I don't know.
If honestly, I think what they're going to try to do, the Democrats, I think they're going to try to insurrect power and put him to the executive office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's what I've been reading.
That's what Biden was like. They were prepping for us for that with Biden.
Yes.
I will say now Trump is the oldest person to ever be elected to a term of office. I feel like that's getting glossed over a little bit. Now, of the two of them, Biden's worse cognitively.
Yeah, or at least that's what he wants you to think.
Mm.
He's hiding his true intellect behind a layer of fog of dementia and other things.
For what aim? So he could lose the presidency, or because he didn't want to run again?
There's positions of power that we don't even know about.
Okay. All right. So what is Biden going after? Do you know? Is this
I don't-
information you
I
know?
don't know.
Okay.
But that's the point, is that we don't even know about it, Bobby.
Okay.
There are positions of power that some might even say don't exist,
Okay.
but they do exist. And I know because I've been told they exist, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Do you feel me?
I feel like if I was a little more susceptible, you would 100% roll me in. I
feel
think
like there's
90% of getting someone to agree with you or believe you is
Mhm.
just to be properly raised.
Yeah, just say it with confidence.
Yeah.
That's what they say 90% of the time, right?
Mhm.
You got to say it with confidence. Try to convince me of something with confidence.
Oh, okay. I've never worn a diaper across country. I've never done it.
See, I think you're being too confident. That's the problem. Is you kind of went over the threshold.
All right, ask me again. Ask me
Okay.
again.
Bobby Sheehan,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever worn a diaper cross country and shat in it to save time on commute?
Oh, have I ever worn a diaper?
You are under oath, sir.
All right, but you said I was too confident last time. Okay.
Yeah.
Have I ever worn a I'm gonna have to plead the fifth on this one, honestly.
That's the only right answer.
Dude,
It's
pleading
good.
it's so funny because the Fifth Amendment is very important, the right to non-self-incrimination, but you just can't. Anyone under any circumstances that pleads the fifth, you're like, that motherfucker did it.
Yeah.
You
Which
know?
is a weird it's a weird bias to have, I feel like.
I think that's why sometimes a lawyer's objection
Mm-hmm.
that like something isn't relevant or whatever, that's really important because then you're not saying I won't answer.
Mhm.
Your lawyer is telling you not to answer.
Do you think the lawyer could argue that the crime you're being accused of is irrelevant? Do you think that could that be a new legal strategy that we go after?
For example,
Say you're on trial for murder.
okay.
It is irrelevant whether or not he murdered someone. He's a really good manager at Applebee's. Everyone on staff loves him. He's a net positive for society.
Okay.
Now, if you're a serial killer, obviously it doesn't work because scales are a bit tipped.
Right.
But I think that could work in some cases.
I mean, someone that does their job, a thankless job, well,
Yeah.
that is honorable. And it can't be easy to manage a restaurant.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the hustle, and bustle of the rush. You got to deal with all these personalities, the servers, the bus people, the
Puerto
cooks.
Rican just stabbed you.
The Puerto Rican just stabbed you.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah,
Epstein managed money phenomenally well.
I know.
People overlook that.
It's crazy. And he, I believe, didn't even have a college degree. I think he might be the 21st century, 20th, 21st century version of H.H. Holmes. Because if you ask people what Jeffrey Epstein did, they were like, well, I think he was like a high school. This is some weird boomer shit.
He was a cool high schooler who hung out with cool high school girls and partied with them.
That could be a narrative. Your Honor, I'm young at heart, which is kind of what Michael Jackson did. He was like, I'm basically a boy. And they were like, you are fully not a boy, Michael Jackson.
Well, he put a lot more effort into that being convincing. He had a theme park. He had a pet monkey.
Yeah.
Every little boy's dream to have a theme park and a pet monkey.
So you think if Epstein had like a One Direction poster in his bedroom?
Yeah. Yeah. And he wore like a cool varsity jacket.
Uh-huh.
And he smoked like marbles. Marble. What's that cigarette?
Marlboro.
Marlboro.
Yeah,
He smoked those.
you turned it into Marvel?
Marvel.
Like the game?
Yeah. Marvel Infinity. Now available on a store near you.
Yeah, but if memory serves, Epstein didn't even graduate from college. He was like, listen, I study chemistry or physics, or it was some STEM thing that he studied and he dropped out. And then he was like, can I teach at this high school, even though I have no college degree? And it was like the 70s or whatever. So they were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you could do whatever you want.
Come along.
Yeah, go ahead.
Teach him.
And then he was like, "Oh, I handle people's finances," and then all of a sudden was like, "Now I get to hang out with Bill Clinton," and I have a picture of him wearing a
That's
dress.
so cool. That's a cool way to hang out with Bill Clinton.
Honestly,
is to have like blackmail on him. Isn't that how you want all your friends to just have blackmail,
Yes.
dirt on them?
Yeah, this whole thing of like, oh, your friendship should be based on trust and mutual respect. It's like, no, you need to have leverage on everybody.
Yes, that way when you get arrested, they murder you and make it look like a suicide.
Yeah. Listen, I'm famously skeptical of all conspiracy theories, and that's the one I get the most shit for.
Yeah.
Is that I kind of think being accused of pedophilia and having everyone hate you and looking at the prospect of spending most of your life in prison, because even if you don't get life, you're 65, and if you do 20 years, I mean, what's the likelihood that you're going to survive until you're out of prison? I think all of that is very stressful and sad, and then you do kill yourself.
Yeah. Depression is real. People don't,
That's
they don't recognize it.
That's the narrative we should have taken when Jeffrey Epstein allegedly unalived.
He's a depressed guy.
Listen,
he was just trying to find an outlet.
Your
Honor, you're just trying to find an outlet. Some people paint paintings. Some people sing songs.
Oh, you're saying he dealt with his depression from
by renting an island and doing ungodly things.
Do you think there were other? This is what I think about, because there's all this talk online of like, we need to find the list. Who was on the Jeffrey Epstein log list? And my thing is like, was there other fun things to do on the island?
Like a water slide?
And did or a zip line?
Zip line could be really fun.
Do you think there was anyone there that was just there for the zip line? And they're like, listen, I don't know why these 15-year-old girls are here, but what I do know is that they have a zip line.
All I know is they have a great banquet. They have a really good banquet. The
Steak?
taquitos are great here.
Salmon?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple. I wonder, well, because I mean, Chris Tucker, wasn't he on the list?
I heard something about Chris Tucker.
He's probably some guy who went there for the water slide and the taquitos. And there's definitely some people on there where you're like, I don't think they're pedophiles. Like Bill Clinton, I don't think he's a pedophile.
No, he is famously horny, though.
Yeah. Well, he's a good husband, first and foremost. If he wasn't, why are they still married?
My thing is, I think Hillary Clinton doesn't care about anything other than getting as much power as she can. I think there wasn't a moment where she was sad that he was fucking other people. I think she was annoyed that the media found out about it, which is why she called it, at the time, she called the allegations by Monica Lewinsky a, quote, right-wing conspiracy theory. And it's just one of many times where Hillary Clinton made everything worse, because now if you say correctly that an idea is a right-wing conspiracy theory, everyone's like, oh, like Monica Lewinsky? Like, damn it.
Well, they found like semen on her jacket or something.
She was gross enough to save.
It was a Ziploc sandwich baggie full of Bill Clinton semen.
Dude, it's crazy to me because, listen, I can't imagine me coming on someone's clothes and then they're like, I have to save this forever.
Yeah. I mean, do you think it could end up in the Presidential Museum maybe? Because that is a pretty big piece of history. As far as like presidential objects go.
Oh, dude, I'm Googling that. Yeah. As soon as we're done, I want to know what happened to that. Is that dress somewhere? I bet they destroyed it.
You think they destroyed it?
I think they did.
Because it was evidence or something?
I think
they didn't let her keep it.
I think you can't just let presidential cum be around.
It has to be scrubbed.
I bet there's a so you know the whole thing of like Drake puts hot sauce in his used condoms?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that, which it sounds like he's being overly paranoid, but the reason we know about this is because a woman did go into the trash can afterwards and tried to put his cum in her pussy.
Well, couldn't he just get like a vasectomy?
I feel like that hurts.
It feels weird to carry a bottle of hot sauce around with you everywhere you go and just...
Yeah. Oh my God, is that why black people like hot sauce? Is that why Hillary Clinton is carrying around for Bill?
She puts it right in his pee hole.
Dude, I haven't had a vasectomy. My dad has had one, and he was okay. He was like, if you definitively don't want any kids or any more kids, you should get one because it's the cheapest and easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Because women getting their tubes tied, it's like an under procedure that's actually kind of
That
dangerous.
sounds complicated.
Yeah.
Because they're so tiny, and then you have to actually, I'm assuming you actually tie them
Yeah.
like a shoelace, right?
But that's actually how vasectomy works. They tie your vas deferens in half so that you still, when you ejaculate, semen comes out, but sperm doesn't come out. And you're awake the whole time. They give you a local anesthetic, like you would get like, you get Novocaine at the dentist or whatever.
Yeah.
My dad, when he described the vasectomy to me, he just said, let me put it this way. If a doctor says you're going to feel a little pressure, it's going to be extremely painful.
Ooh.
And I'm like, fuck my penis, dude. No.
I thought they put you asleep.
That's they don't, because like my understanding, they even do that for like knee operations. They'll keep you, they'll fuck you up, but they'll keep you awake because there's always some amount of danger of putting you under. Right?
Yeah.
I guess for a colonoscopy, you have to.
Unless you're cool.
Unless you're
like really into it.
You're like, doctor, can you keep me awake?
Get in there, doctor.
Yeah.
Spread it open, crawl right inside.
Oh.
I got a small little cottage in there.
Have you ever had a surgery?
No major ones. I had a root canal. That's probably the closest I've ever gotten.
Dude, where the creepiest thing about a root canal is that you smell burning flesh.
Yes.
And you're like, why? And it's because, brother, your flesh is burning.
The worst part of the root canal for me was it was all the way in the back, so it's a really hard tooth to get to. So the little device that they have for the filling was pressed against my skin on my lip. So as it's being injected, it's just burning the skin on my lip. And she's like, oh, it can't all be pain-free.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was the reaction she had?
Yeah. I was like, ah! She's like, you're going to feel some pain.
Oh God.
I feel like she could have just lifted it maybe or put something there. I don't know. She was rushing. There was a lot of people in the lobby.
Was this in New York City?
It was.
Yeah. Wham, damn, bang, thank you, ma'am type
That's
situation.
Get out of here.
So, folks, if you want to recommend that Puff goes to a different dentist and you want to send him a DM, Puff, what's the best way to do that?
Well, you can reach me on Instagram at bpuffcomedy. So I do comedy. You can reach me right there. Or
B Puff, not P Puff. That's a different guy.
Puff. Yeah, that's a different guy that looks exactly like me. And drinks buckets of urine on his live stream once a night, but completely irrelevant to the, yeah.
And remember, folks, early to bed, early to rise keeps a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm just plain Night Owls. I love you.
Thank you.